Hi, this is Gina, Tech Coach for SB Unified, and I'm going to show you how to take your Neo quiz, export all of the questions from it, and put it into your quiz in Canvas. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find the quiz in Neo that you want to export the questions from. So I'm going to actually be redoing my final exam for my Canvas class. So open it up, and then you're going to go to questions in the quiz. And from there, you want to find the bank. And you might not have noticed this before, but you can actually export all of the questions in all of your banks by going to Export QTI. So what happens is you'll notice that the export is being processed up to the top, and then you're going to get a notification when it's done up here. If you click on notifications, you'll see that the export is actually complete for this one. So you want to open up that message, and then you have a file, a QTI file that we're going to be using to import into Canvas. And so I'm going to go ahead and click here. Now, just a reminder, it is only valid for 24 hours, so you need to do this pretty soon after you do the export. So I'm going to go ahead and close that up, and I can see that my QTI file is down at the bottom. So now I'm pretty much done with Neo for the export piece. So when you go into Canvas, you're going to open up your class. Notice I've created that final exam, and you notice this is a Canvas quiz. So if you need to find out how to actually create a quiz, there's some modules in the help guide for Canvas to help you do that. So I've created this, basically replicated the assignment, and I'm ready to bring the questions in there. And so I'm going to go to settings. So you want to go to settings, just bring you to the general setup or course detail page, but you want to go to import course content. And then it's going to ask you what type of file. Now you can see I've actually done a bunch of imports from other Neo quizzes. So you have to select this QTI zip file. And I'm going to choose the file, that one that I just downloaded. So I'm going to bring that one that I just downloaded, which was right here today. I'm going to open that up. And that was that one from my final part 1 quiz bank. So I'm going to select the question bank, and I actually want it to create a new question bank. You can see all the ones that I've done from all my other chapters in Neo. I'm going to have it create a new question bank called that final exam part 1. So if you select create a new question bank, it'll just name it the same way as it's named in Neo. So I don't even have to put a question bank name there. I would highly recommend overwriting assessment content with matching IDs. That means if Neo somehow used similar matching IDs in different banks, it will overwrite this new import so you get the actual questions you want to import. And then you can go ahead and press import. So it'll tell you at the bottom, it's going to give you the job status. If there's any errors you're going to see like down here in this one, I had a couple issues. Some of the images didn't transfer over. So no worries, you still have access to Neo to get those images instead of running a whole QTI import again. I haven't really been that picky about it, but you can see that it's completed. It's transferred all of the questions over. So now that I have the one bank that I need, and you can do this for all the question banks that you need, you're going to go into that Canvas quiz that you created. So I'm going to go to modules to find that quiz, and mine is all the way at the bottom. And here it is. It's term 4, final exam part 1. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that quiz, and then I'm going to need to edit it because it's ready to have those questions added. And I've already set up, as I said, the directions for the quiz. I figured out if I want to shuffle answers, if there's a timeout. I mean, you can go through and change all that. Very similar to Neo, but I'm going to add the questions. So here's where you have to figure out what type of questioning you want to do. So I'm going to go back to Neo to kind of show you the difference. In Neo, here was that bank that I exported here. You'll notice that I was actually using tags where I had to pick certain questions from the bank. So one question is selected that was tagged Q1. So these three were Q1, these three were Q2, and then I also have one question selected as question 3. So if you're using the tagging system, it's similar in Canvas. If you don't care, you want it to like ask a question for all of these, the process is a little bit different. So I wanted to show you that so you can figure out what type of question adding you're going to do. So let's just say you don't care about the tags, you just want it to add all the questions from the bank. You're going to just go over here to find questions. And this is going to give you a list of all of the banks that you've actually imported. And so I'm going to go ahead and find my term 2 final exam part 1. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Now, if I didn't have tagging and I wanted to select, just maybe one, I was going to select them and I'll just select for the kids. I could pick and choose which ones I wanted to have in there. I can select all of them if I want. And I would just go ahead and add the questions. This grouping system is how you're going to be doing kind of the tagging system that was equivalent in Neo. So if I don't want to do that and I just want to select it all, I just go to add questions and notice it just adds all the questions that I selected. Okay. Now, if I want to do the tagging system, this is where you're going to use this group, add a new question group. So I can do this exact same thing. And I want to create 3 questions. I want to group 1. And notice down here, I can link to a question bank. So I'll show you what that is in just a second, but I'm just going to create my groups first. I'm going to create a group 1, a group 2, and a new question group 3. All right, so what these groups are is you're going to add questions to the groups. Now notice this is picking one question in this group and it's 1 point per question. Now when I added it, I could have actually put the points on there as I was creating it. So all the ones in group 1 are going to be 10 points. The ones in group 2 will be another point, so you can set it. So I just went to the little edit over here. Now, what you can do is now if you want to do this whole idea of groups where you're going to pick a question or 2 questions per that group, you're now ready to find questions. So let's just say I wanted on my final exam to have rotating polar graphs. What I can do is I can say, I want all of these. I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to add them into group 1. And now I'm going to add the selected questions. So it took all of the questions from that bank and it added it to it. So right now, what it's going to do is in this group, pick one question out of all of these 4 that are right here. Now, one of the things you're going to run into Neo is sometimes the images will not transfer over. Math teachers, some of the equation editor equations did not transfer over nicely. You'll have to use the built-in equation editor to redo. So just be mindful of that. So if I needed to edit it, you can just edit the question. You can easily just replace the image, go back to your Neo quiz, figure out what you needed, screenshot it, import it in really easily with the image icon. There's also an equation editor right over here if you need to do any editing that way. So just be aware of that. And then you can change the question type. It'll go match to what Neo had. This was a fill in the blank question. There's actually fill in multiple blanks. You'll see there's a lot of other options that you can change the Neo question to if you want to. And when you're all done, you can go ahead and press update question. That's down at the bottom. Okay, so now I have my questions in group 1. So if you want to create more groups, you can maybe add a 4th group where you want to add an entire question bank. Now, when you're making the groups, if you want to link it to a whole bank, and let's make this question bank 12 points per one question, or maybe let's pick 2 questions. And I want to just link it to a question bank. So these are all the ones I've already imported. So I'm going to do this one here. select the bank, and what it'll do is it will just pull all the questions. It'll pick 2 questions, make them 12 point a piece from that bank. And so that is definitely another way you can do it, but it's going to pull from all of the questions. You're not going to be able to select and choose, so just be aware of that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and create this group, and you'll see that you have that there. So if you want to go ahead and edit it, you can go ahead and click on this question bank, and you'll have the option to be edit the actual bank straight from there if you want to use that as an option. Looks like some of the questions here will need to be edited because unfortunately Neo doesn't have a perfect transfer over. For in this case, for me, this was an equation. All the images will transfer over nicely, but some of the equations will not, so just be aware of that. So that's basically how you import questions into Canvas from Neo. When you're all done, you can go ahead and save this. So I'm going to get out of this question bank that I was working on, and I'm going to go back to my original quiz, and my original quiz questions were here. I can modify any more questions that I need to modify. Here was that question bank at the bottom where I inserted all of the questions there, and I can just hit save or save and publish if you want. And that's basically it, how you do the QTI import into Canvas from Neo. Thanks for watching.